Good day everyone, I'm Kenneth John Maul. In this video, I'm going to discuss the 5 personality and photography in their field of contribution. So these 5 personality are based on my research in website, and we're going to explore the development of photography during the prehistory and early beginning of the photography. So let's proceed. The first personality in photography is Ansel Adams, was a famous nature and landscape photography born in San Francisco, California. On the 20th of February 1902, Ansel Adams' interest in nature went much beyond art, and he always did what he could an environment to protect the same natural surrounding that he so beautiful captured through his camera. Adams developed Adams developed the now famous zoom system that made it easier for photographer to visualize an image and then produce a photograph that expressed the visualization by controlling the development time. His 10 book on technical aspect of this field of art are the most valuable book of photographers. Second personality is Irving Penn. Irving Penn is the one of the most famous personality in the field of photography and was born in New Jersey in 1917. His most important stint as a photographer was with Vogue magazine where he shot more than 150 covers. While shooting portrait for Vogue, he is famous for using two background to form a corner, and he would make his subject stand between the background. Another technique that he used was to use an old rug as a portrait props. Third is Judy Cobb. He grew up in Iran and has a honorary doctorate of fine arts from the Corcoran College of Art and Design in Washington, D.C. She was the first woman to cover the personal lives of women in Saudi Arabia. In 1987, the book of Isaiah, The Life Voices, The Art, was another landmark contribution in which she covered the ancient and often cruel tradition of the Geisha of Japan. The first woman to be named White House Photographer of the Year. He award includes National Press Photographers Association Picture of the Year awards and World Press Award. He other major contribution are to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, The Wall, Here Be Dragon, and The Way Home, Ending Homeless, and American and the Day, and the Life of Book series. Fourth is Susan Misales. Susan Misales is one of the famous personalities in the field of photographer and is known for his work human rights issue in Latin world, especially Nicaragua and El Salvador. She photographed women doing striptease in New England country fairs and published them in carnival strippers. He photographed on the insurrection in Nicaragua on human rights issue in Latin America were published throughout the world, and a second monograph of Nicaragua was published in 1981. She also launched an exhibition of this famous photograph which has traveled over 8 years to different venues in Europe and USA. Other important contribution of the famous woman photographer include Photographic AC and a New York City SNN Club and 60 years history of interaction with the Dani people of Indonesia. Besides contributing to book, she also directed two films based on human rights issue. Lastly, James Natchway. This famous photojournalist started his career as a newspaper photographer in New Mexico in 1976. He began working as freelance magazine photographer in 1980 when he moved to New York and covered the civil strife in Northern Ireland during the era hunger strike at his first assignment. This led to a series of photographs documenting various war, conflict, and social issue around the world. Since 1984, he began working as contract photographer with Time magazine. He has had one-man show in various venues, including the Museum of Photographic Arts in San Diego and the Bibliothèque Nationale de France in Paris. The famous photographer, he earned many awards including Robert Capa Gold Medal 5 times, the World Press Photo Award twice, and Martin Luther King, a fellow of Royal Photographic Society. He has earned a honorary doctorate as fine arts from the Massachusetts College of Arts. So let's proceed how photography developed and the prehistory in the early beginning of photography. Before photography was created, people had figured out the basic principles of lenses and the camera. They could project that image and the wall or piece of paper. However, no printing was possible at the time. Recording the light turned out to be a lot harder than projecting it. The instrument that people used to process picture was called the camera obscura, which is Latin from the dark room. In its and it was around for a few countries before photography came along. It is believed that camera obscura was invented around 13th to 14th centuries. However, this is a manuscript by Arabian scholar Hassan date 10th centuries that describe the principle of which camera obscura word works and on which analog photography is based today. Even then, the camera did not actually record image. It simply projected them onto another surface. The image were also upside down through the could be traced to create accurate drawing of real objects such as building. The camera obscura used a pinhole in a tin of project an image from outside the tent into the darkened area. It was not until the 17th century that the camera obscura became small enough to be portable. Basic lens to focus the light were also introduced around this time. However, an early beginning of photography, the first photograph installing film and permanently capturing an image was a logical progression. The first photo picture, as we know it, was taken in 1825 by a French inventor, Joseph Nicephore Neff. It records a view from the window at Ligras. The exposure had to last for 8 hours. So the sun in the picture had time to move from east to west, appearing to shine on both sides of the building in the picture. Neff came up with the idea of using a petroleum derivative called bitumen of Judea. To record camera projection, bitumen hardens with exposure to light, and the unhardened materials could then be washed away. The material plate which used by Nip was then polished, rendering a negative image that could be coated with ink to produce a print. One of the problems with this method was that the metal plate was heavy, expensive to produce, and took a lot of time to polish. And that's all, ma'am. Thank you.